Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to my home. Welcome to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. I'm Heath. I'll be your host. I'm sorry for being later this morning. I was getting everything together here for the VTT and then was also posting to the Shadowdark or the Arcane Library on Discord. And I also wrote out an email to Kelsey through her website forum. So I would love to know what she thinks. Hey, maybe one day she'll come on Table Talk. Wouldn't that? I think she would be a great guest to have on Table Talk. So today we're going to be talking about Shadowdark. I've got this Shadowdark VTT, like I think about 95% of the way done, but other people may have some suggestions, and I'm sure it's not completely done because it needs to be played. I'm sure that once it gets playing, like people get playing, we'll determine that we need something else or something needs to change or there's some better way to do something or things like that. This is the first RPG that I've tried to build out using this software. And I really was thinking a lot about it in terms of RPG design as I was trying to build it out, because I want to do one. If I do one, I want it to be virtual first, in the sense that a lot of play goes on virtually over over the internet, and I want people to be able to play in an elegant way. And so we'll talk about some of the things in this that I'm like, oh, this is interesting. It works on pad and paper, but does it work if you're trying to actually use physical tokens? So I'll show you how I got it set up. So we'll talk about that. And I'm sure people on here will have suggestions. I would love to know what type of suggestions you've got. So let's see who we got here. Let's see. We got Charlie. Good morning, Charlie. And James Bacon. Good morning. Good morning. Sable Phoenix is here. Jason. Good morning. BGD. Good morning. This build out has taken me a lot longer than I was expecting. And I guess that's partially because I was doing the custom characters. I guess I could have just taken the pre-generated characters that were already there for Shadowdark and put them into this system. Yes, maybe I should have done that but I think we got to know the system better. And we had a lot of fun also by generating those characters. And we also had insight into like our discussion yesterday on dice and the OSR and all of that. So I guess it was worth it, but I'm glad that this is going to be. I'm glad this particular part of this sub project for the gaming tavern is coming to a close. Hey, PH, good morning. I posted it in the general chat, the general Shadowdark chat. So posted it there, and then also contacted Kelsey through her website. So we will see. All right, so let's see what's going on right now. First of all, last night we had a great table talk. I posted the link to table talk. Let me post a direct subscribe link. So here's a direct subscribe link to table talk. I think Kelsey would be a fantastic person to have on table talk. We'll have to invite her. Last night we had a fantastic conversation with Vic Mignogna. So Vic was on last night. It was a wonderful live stream. Man, his fans are amazing. Like if you look at the comments, of course, that were in the chat, but then also the comments just on the live stream later, man, he has got a lot. He's got some, I don't even know what the right word is. People who absolutely seem to adore him, and a lot of people who just seem to adore him. So we spoke with him yesterday. We talked to him about buildings out the Star Trek Continues set and what it means to build, what it took to build and make Star Trek Continues happen, which I think is a major landmark in Star Trek, in science fiction and fantasy, because it was done so well and it's such a monumental undertaking. He said he'd come back. So, but if you didn't see that, just under past live streams right here, definitely check him out. And of course, I don't know him from anime because I don't do anime, I haven't done anime. I don't have anything against it. That's not something I've ever gotten involved in. But, and I was trying to watch Full Metal Alchemist yesterday, a little bit of it before the interview, but I couldn't find it anywhere to watch. So who knows? Maybe one day that'll be the one that I watch and we'll get into it. We'll see. Yeah, Jason says, I just adore him for his connection with Star Trek Continues. Yes, it was. PH says, I just rewatched those videos you posted on 3D6 and 2D10, but the X number of D2s was genius. I've got on the list, and I've got on the list with many other things on the list to make out dedicated YouTube videos on that subject, because I wrote out my notes on the live stream yesterday. And so I want to go through and I want to make some just more succinct YouTube videos based on those notes to put those out, because I think a lot more people will start using that technique. So thank you, PH. And then also, if you are here and you are new, I'm put the link here. We'll play. I've got Gaming Tavern over here, but Gaming Coffee Shop, I need to readjust my sign up form here, my interest form. So this means once we get Shadowdark finished, that'll be 7 games in the online coffee shop to play games in. So getting close to having Shadowdark done. The next one I was going to do was Index Card RPG. I thought that would be a good one since it's very popular around here, but this was such a complicated build out, and we will see. I still want to do it, but I kind of expected to have both of them done by now, but only Shadowdark is about ready. And I do have to clean my house. One of these points, I'm going to become obsessive about cleaning my house. That'll be the next task, because I've just been on one task basically all year so far for 2024. So soon I'm just going to go all into house cleaning, and I'm sure that will actually help a lot of things. But yes, if you're interested in playing, that's the link. And I'll let you know when it goes live. It's not live yet because we're still getting games set up, but close. All right, that's what's going on. All right, everybody got your coffee this morning or your favorite beverage? I do. It's cold out today. So I've got my warm beverage. I've got Witch's Brew this morning. Let's do our morning ritual and our morning reading. Let me bring up Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. And let's go. Here we go. All right, everybody, get your coffee this morning or your espresso, or hey, it might be the afternoon and you might be having a beer or a shot of whiskey or a margarita, or who knows, it might still be early in the morning and you also might be having a beer or a whiskey or a shot of whiskey or a margarita. Whichever way. So here is, so let's do our breathe and sip. 2 deep breaths. Take care of your mental health this morning. Focus this morning. Take a moment of reflection. Everybody together. 2 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Complete exhales. Here we go. All together. Breathe. And sip. All together now. There we go. That's good. Now, we are talking about the characteristics of the professional, according to Stephen Pressfield in Turning Pro. Oh, the professional will not be distracted. The amateur tweets. The pro works. Isn't that the truth? We talked about distraction, and he's talked about distraction too. But is tweeting actually getting your work done? The professional is ruthless with himself. Picasso was in his Paris studio, a true story, with the owner of the gallery where his paintings were displayed and sold. The Spaniard was showing off his latest series of portraits, which he had labored for months to produce. The gallery owner was ecstatic. He couldn't wait to get these brilliant new works into the gallery and start selling them. Suddenly, Picasso seized a palette knife and strode to the first painting. To the gallery owner's horror, Picasso slashed the canvas from end to end. Pablo, arat! Pablato. But Picasso didn't stop. Blade in hand, he marched down the line of paintings, reducing each one to ribbons. The professional knows when he has fallen short of his own standards. He will murder his darlings without hesitation, if that's what it takes to stay true to the goddess and to his own expectations of excellence. I like that standard. I actually think about that. Story about Picasso quite a bit. Good morning, Tomocrat. Good morning. And good morning, Frederick. Good morning. Oh, little Pablo. Gotcha. I think when I read that the first time, I thought it was Pablo again. All right, let's get to our main topic then. I'll bring up what I got. And we're going to finish a couple of things here online, first of all. But I'm going to show you what I got and what my philosophy here was. And maybe you've got suggestions for improvements and stuff. All right. So I'm going to stand up from this seat right here. So this is where I got and what I was had been able to put together. So the first thing you'll notice, okay, I set it up for 7 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, which immediately, okay, so I got my notes over here. I'll be making notes of things to change and things that need updating. Let's see. So we need character tokens, I know. We need enemy tokens. And I just noticed that I need an additional crawlers kit. because I did set this up for 7 players, but one of them would be the Dungeon Master. So I've got 6 potential players, which is a lot for an RPG. But I figure that's about, well, I guess for a single session of an RPG like this. I mean, 4 to 5 is probably more general, but I did go ahead and set it up for 6. I'm not sure exactly why, but that's what I did. Oh, and the Discord link. Thank you. Yes, I forgot the Discord link. If you're here, please do hit the link and join our Discord server, the Ravenkeep Discord server. I would love to have you. Okay. So we got 6 players plus 1 game master slot here. We've got dice. The dice don't move, so the dice are locked in. That way you're not looking for the dice all the time. You go to one place for the different dice. I went with 2 of each different types of dice so that you can roll with advantage. I believe it's the case in here that any die can be rolled with advantage. Isn't that right? So it's not just the D20, but you might need, for a lot of the weapons, I ended up, I believe it was the case that we're not using like 2D6 a lot. I don't remember if I ever actually ended up typing that out. In fact, I could look down here. But I'm sure there's probably cases where you need to roll more than one of a particular type of die. Maybe magic items and things like that. Oh, healing potion. I do also want to add a healing potion to this game. I didn't do anything with magic items, but healing potions are under magic items, and so I do want something here that will allow you to put out a healing potion. Because I guess that's something players might get. And I believe that in this case, I was looking up healing potions. The way she solved the inflationary hit point issue and healing potions is she doesn't have, or healing in general, she solved that. Again, I'm impressed by the thought of the design. I watched more of the like how to design a monster and the philosophy behind designing a monster. So I do highly recommend if you're interested in this game and you're interested in game design, listen to the bard and the druid and maybe the monster design and there was a game master tips to get an idea of what was in her mind as to why she was making this. So with healing, there's just one healing spell, and let me look that up. This is a bit of an aside, but isn't it under cure? Yeah, so cure wounds is instant, and cure wounds restores a number of D6s equal to 1 plus half your level rounded down. So that's how there's no cure light wounds and then cure major wounds and then moderate wounds and all of that. Cure starts on the lowest level with D6, and then will get better as the priest improves. The potion of healing gains you hit points based on the character's level who drinks it. Level 0 to 3, 1d6. Yeah, okay, 2d8. Levels 4 to 6, 2d8. Level 7 to 9, 3d10. Or level 10 plus 4d12 hit points, actually. So there would be, so that is a reason to add more in there. Add more dice in there. But I want to put something, a healing potion someplace in here. I guess that can be the start of the magic item deck. I don't know how often they're given out, but it just seems like something that you should have. Oh, Sable says this looks amazing. Oh, thank you. And I nailed the tone. Oh, good. Now, one other thing, just from the general look perspective, on the armor, I've got little images up here on the armor, but that's the only one that I did. So those can be added later if we want. This project was taking a while anyway, so I didn't create custom little illustrations on the cards for all of the equipment and weapons yet. Anyway, so what was that? So we got the dice. They don't move so that you can find them and roll them. I've got all of our characters right here. So I got 10. We ended up with 10 characters. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. Okay. So they're all in here. We ended up with 10 characters. to choose from that are pre-generated. Of course, you can make your own, but they're pre-generated here too, so you can grab them. The ones that we built here on the Morning Grind. So if you would like to watch Shadowdark creation, we've got several episodes over the past few days that were on the creating these characters. So we've got a halfling thief here. We've got an elf wizard. I built that one off stream yesterday. Went ahead and did an elf wizard, a human wizard, a human priest, a half-orc fighter, a dwarf fighter, a human bard, an elf fighter, a goblin thief, and a human ranger. So if you want to play, you can sit down. If you're sitting, you can sit here in like player 2. And I might say Heath, or let's say human ranger. Or you put your name of your character over here as well, of course. Thank you, Stray. And please do hit the like on the stream. That would be fantastic if you were here. Or you put your character name over here so that people will remember the character. The color here is going to be significant in a moment. And if I'm going to play, I don't know, was it the Human Ranger? Then I can put the Human Ranger down here. And of course, most things that are significant anyway will enlarge when you hover over them. And so if you put this down here, where it says click cards to flip, drag cards to move, cards placed here are only visible to you. You can take your character, put your character down here in your hand, and then just hover over your character when you need to reference the entire sheet. See, this character has 5 hit points and an AC of an 11. So we can keep track of that over here. So I don't know how often AC is going to change, but I thought that both AC and hit points should be public. Not only is it easiest to track them using the tracker here, so that was HP 11 right here, and then, AC 11, HP 5. But that way, we're just dealing with the counter here for the purposes of tracking our HP. Our AC is already on here. That way, everybody knows how many hit points people have got. And then also, if a game master is rolling to hit, well, the game master doesn't have to constantly be asking what your AC is or anything like that, because that's just displayed on the game console here. And then also, I'm thinking about this in the context, if we were using this for dinner and a board game, because all the build outs here not only can be played in the coffee shop, but can be used for dinner and a board game. I think it'd be really fun to do Shadowdark dinner and a board game. I need more man hours. I need more man hours to put toward all these projects. But that also gives it a heads up display for people who are watching a live stream. They can see it. Let's see. Now, okay, over here. So what I wanted to do, I was trying to come up with a way to track inventory, because I was trying to see what's on here is going to change a lot, because there's no way to update this sheet. This sheet's just a graphic. So of course you do have, oh, by the way, so you do have your spells and talents over here. Actually, your spells you're going to have to pick up, because I just figured I'd let people choose their spells. But also, if you click it onto the back, anytime you click something, you flip it over. Anything that can be flipped over. Like here's a spell card. Click it and you'll flip it over. If you click over your character sheet, you get a quick reference on some information on gear slots, difficulty class, morale, dying, distance, spell focus, spell casting. I don't know. Maybe there are better things to put on there. I don't know. But you get a quick reference on the back. But one of the things that oh, Michael is, yeah, we got another thumbs up on the Vic interview. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to him. In fact, he was talking about the fan weekend that's coming up, not this weekend, but the next weekend on the 20th down at Kingsland, Georgia in the Neutral Zone Studios. And man, I kind of want to go down there. I kind of want to go down there because Chris Duhan's going to be down there too. James Duhan's son. James played Scotty, of course, on the original series, and then his son played Scotty in Star Trek Continues. It would be cool to go down there and do a live stream, see both of them and do a live stream. There's a lot going on, though. There's a lot going on, but that would be cool. Okay, so I was trying to come up with what's going to change on this. So talents and spells, because there's no way to just update this card because it's a graphic. So this is for a level 1 character. Obviously, so I don't know what to do about that as far as the long-term growth of the character. Now, nothing stops you from having a character sheet with you. I've designed most of these to assume that you're going to have some things physically with you as you're sitting here at the computer. Like when you're playing Hero Quest, the Zargon has the physical map book and all of that, and I was using physical cards over here on my side. So I didn't say that you can't use, I'm not designing this to, well, I suppose entirely assuming that you're not using paper and pencil as well, although I'm trying to put as much as possible on the screen as possible. So I guess one solution is eventually you might just print off a new character sheet for your entire character sheet and keep track of your level, different number of attacks. Oh, by the way, so I guess attacks. Oh, in Hero Quest, I've got the small marbles. Add attack marbles. Maybe in Hero Quest, that's interested to know what you think of that. In Hero Quest, I've got those blue and red tiny marbles that you can set by your character to indicate your attack power. I thought about doing something like that here. So like this character has a longsword attack. I guess it's different because you got longsword and short bow. I think that's just something you'll have to reference down here. What your attack bonus is, because I do have weapon cards, for instance. So the weapon card right here, so here's the Warhammer right here, but this doesn't tell you your attack value, and it doesn't tell you your damage, because there are talents which can allow you to get like a +1 damage. In the physical world, that could be like a Gloomhaven thing. Like, the Gloomhaven has the little stickers that you can put on cards. So you could put little stickers to put your attack with a Warhammer on there, or a sticker to add +1 if you've got a +1 to damage with a Warhammer or something like that. Customize a little Warhammer card for you. That would be neat in the physical environment. I don't have a great way to do that here in the digital environment. So that's you could reference your Warhammer card. And by the way, I don't like that the character sheet doesn't need to turn over when you pull it out of your hand. Does not need to turn over. I'm not sure if the weapons do or not. Weapons probably shouldn't either. But whatever. Keeping track of little things. So that's why your sheet is still important, because that tells you your attack bonus and your damage in the event that they are different from the weapon. Let's see, going around if I'm playing. So the idea here is that I've got a crawling kit. You can look down here. Okay, I've got, aside from all the reference, that's not going to change until you change talents. I guess you just have to make a new card when you change talents and keep that physically with you. I guess that's what's going to have to happen. We're playing on the honor system anyway with your characters. But anyway, with gear down here, that's going to change. And so I was trying to figure out how to handle gear. And I think the other day, like 3 days ago, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to need to make gear cards, because we've got consumables here. And of course, I'm a fan of consumables. A small number of consumables that you're actually going to have to pay attention to during the game. And if you're going to be using things during the game, then you need some way to cross those off or get rid of them. So I guess what's on your card here needs to be your starting gear. And then you can pick up your gear and hold them. Because first of all, there's consumables that are going to influence like resources being expended as you play the game, obviously. But that's also going to influence your carrying capacity. and then what kind of treasure you can get out of an environment. So I realized that your gear slots are something that you're going to have to spend, that you are going to need to be able to manipulate in game. So that's why I was like, oh, I guess I do have to make equipment cards. So I did that. James says the 10-hour drive will probably win out, but might not. Yeah, it would be like it would be an all-day kind of drive for me to get down there. So I mean, it would be expensive. I mean, and it would take a lot of time, and then it would also, gas to get down there and have to get a hotel. Oh, you're trying to talk yourself out of going. Yes, James was great. BGD says you should have cards built out for all the spells and abilities. That way you could simply reference them by name on the character sheet and then deal out individual ability descriptions to the hands. Yes, maybe. I mean, this was also a learning experience in that kind of way. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe the entire hand should have been that. I don't mind the languages, and because I also don't want it's a trade-off. And if you're designing from scratch a game to be built this way, I think this is the kind of thing you have to think of, because it would be better if you didn't have like 500 things down here in your hand to look through. So a smaller number of things is better, because I don't want to just completely overwhelm somebody with 40 cards down here. But I don't know. It's the kind of decisions to make regarding Shadowdark, the build of Shadowdark, but then also decisions to make if you are designing a game custom for this kind of environment. But because you're going to have to use consumables here, and you're going to adjust your slots. Okay, so this character has got 16 slots. If you were just going to use, I think, well, I mean, you can see there's 16 slots here, but I've got a crawler's kit, and that's why I pre-built. I mean, this is kind of what you're talking about here. I pre-built these crawler kits. Another problem here, I mean, not really problem, but the consideration is that unlike in Hero Quest, when there are only 4 heroes, you can buy expansion heroes, but in the core game, there are 4 heroes, and they start exactly like this. You can easily pre-build the characters, and I set all of their stuff on the table, the virtual table here. And I was planning on doing that same kind of thing here, but they're with 10 different character options. They were just all over the place. There was just stuff all over the place, and that didn't work. So you're going to have to build your character a little bit. I like to get going fast. I would have liked for people to just sit down, pulled off the character sheet down, and then pulled off an associated stack of items. But I was just running out of room on this, and it was way too cluttered, and you couldn't really even tell what was going on. But this up here is a crawler's kit. So a crawler's kit takes up 7 slots. You can see that's why there's 7 cards up here. So it's 1 card per item, but not 1 card per slot. Okay, because some items take up more than 1 slot, right? So I put the slot number down here at the bottom left of the card. And that way, when they fan out in your hand right there, you should be able to count the large number at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and know how many slots of inventory you're taking up. And then you can reference over here what your max slots were. So this gives me the flint and steel. But see, on equipment, you also have to have number, right? Because number is the number of items that are in that slot. This is, from this perspective of this build out, that's somewhat inelegant. I'm not sure how to fix that if you were designing from scratch, because it does seem like there should be some items that are small enough that they should fit multiple to a slot, right? Like iron spikes. So iron spikes tells you, okay, we need to slide over the description here slide over equipment cards descriptions. This looks like it's pressed over to the right margin. the equipment cards. So like the iron spikes are 10. The rations here, where are rations? Rations are 3. And rations, so not only are there items that there are some items that can have multiple of them in one slot. The number of items, if you had a multiple item, the number of them are inconsistent, which is not anything you would think about if you were just doing this out on paper. But if you're doing a design first, then if you were designing it this way first for this, I think you would think about this. BGD says, agreed, card size is a factor, but most of the created characters completely filled up the spaces for spells and abilities with their descriptions. It's not much room in that box. It's my suggestion. I'm talking about hand size. Yeah, you're right. There was a lot of text in there. If the pre-gens have their starting abilities on the sheet, then I agree it's the most elegant option. But if they can't fit or include the required details, separate cards in the hand make sense. Now, I did notice, yes, I did notice that when I downloaded the official Shadowdark pre-gen characters, well, wherever they were, there was less information in the spells and abilities. There was just a quick note and then a reference to a page number. So I didn't do that. So that's another way that could be. Michael says, arrows, daggers, caltrips, hell, a backpack should increase available slots. This game assumes you have a backpack. The Crawler's Kit comes with a backpack. So I didn't make a backpack card because you get one backpack free. It says if you want to carry more backpacks, then it takes up a slot of yours. So that's why I put over here after on all the characters it says backpack. I didn't make up a backpack card. I just put that on the character sheet because it says backpack holds all the gear you can carry. Don't lose it. So this game is assuming that all of this gear is in your backpack and gives everybody one free. So buying another backpack doesn't give you more slots. Jason says, I like the idea of having spell cards. If the cards have the spell and all the info's on it, then that would have been much easier to see what it does. Yeah, and the reason I did spell cards too is because I guess that's the Hero Quest influence on me. Because for pre-generated characters, I could have just assigned them spells, but I put spell cards down here so that if you're playing one of the wizards, it tells you how many spells you get, and then you can look on that and get the spells that you want. Kind of like the Wizard and Elf in Hero Quest. Jason says, I'm going to try to see how I can create and print 5x8 cards here on my printer here at home. Doesn't have to be fancy, just effective. Can equipment cards be made editable on the fly by the players? No. That's functionality I wish we had here. We really need... let me check something. I mean, you can edit the cards during the game. You can do that. But it's not, you have to edit the whole basic game here. What I wanted to know is if you put, now, and even these text labels, they aren't editable easily in game. I mean, it depends on what you mean by easy, but like this, and I need want to be able to put a different color too on this text label. So like this could be white or something. Whoop. But you can put text labels on here. And I can edit that by going into the edit of the entire board, but I can't just click over here and say, like I can say that, hey, these are player movable. I can't say that this is player editable. Man, if we had that functionality, that would be really nice. I don't know if this functionality is properly built to modify an individual card. If you could modify an individual card, that would be fantastic. But even for something like for Fate games or other games where you're using something like aspects, I really want to be able to custom, like easily edit one of those titles, but I can't. That would be amazing functionality to have. That way you could write down some title or some aspect and change it in game. So, anyway, so my solution there was to have these tokens. So these are tokens for any consumable item that is sub card level. And I didn't make up iron spikes. They're 10, yes, they're 10 iron spikes technically, but when you're using iron spikes, I was thinking just from the clutter of the screen here, do I need to give you 10 iron spikes? Probably not, because if you're going to use your iron spikes to scale a cliff face or whatever, my thinking is you would probably just need to turn in your entire iron spikes card. You've got 10 of them, you know, those for your belaying pins, and you turn that in. So again, we've got inconsistency in the usage here, because I could make tokens for iron spikes, but I figured that was not necessary, even though it's technically 10 of them. So maybe a more, way to go. I mean, you could do all different things, I know, with iron spikes, but if you're using them to actually climb something, allows you to climb whatever size wall, discard after use, whatever, or increases your climbing skill or for a climbing check or something, or gives you advantage on a climbing check when used to climb up to this distance, discard after use, because they've all been nailed into the rock. But here, like rations, so rations, we can have 3 rations in one slot. So you also grab your rations, and now you've got your crawlers kit. And now you can discard rations, and then when you use your last ration, you can also get rid of your ration card. That's the way that this is going right now. BGD says, what would be ideal is if the checkboxes or radio buttons that were clickable included on a card that could be in the player's hand. Then a set of iron spikes could have to, yes, actually, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Or generally, yeah, that would be fantastic. And even the ability to put checkboxes on the table too. That would be great. Iron spikes would make a great improvised throwing weapons. They hurt. Ask my brother how I know. Oh. BGD says the index card VTT, as streamlined as it is, has the wonderful functionality where any imported token can be clipped on to overlay a numerical counter that can be incremented or decremented with a plus or minus. That's nice. It would be nice to be able to increment or decrement, these like the ration tokens. That way we don't have to have actually 3 of them here. It does simulate if you're doing this with meeples or other physical token to the table, but eventually you're going to have a lot of stuff down here. But then you could check over here if you want to get this. So I've got the crawling kit. I got leather armor, a longsword, and a short bow. So armor, let's see, I can just put this down. I got some leather armor. I got, what was that? A longbow? No, longsword. Longsword. Short bow. So I guess you can help distribute these things. The game master can help people find the equipment that they need. And then, 20 arrows from the equipment right here. So that's another one. Like 20 arrows. 20 arrows go in there. And in this, you're supposed to be tracking arrows. Now, I think I would do a different, rather than having to take, so I've got bolts. B is for bolts. So that's for your crossbow bolts. So I should have all of the main consumables over here. Arrows over here. Right, rather than having to take 20 arrow tokens. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There we go. 20 arrows for use. And then I do have gold as well. So I believe that's it. So that should be, I should have 11 of my slots full. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, I do like how that works. So you can count that up and know, where you are with that. But then how much gold do I have? 38 pieces of gold. Oh, I'm going to need to add a lot more gold. Add a lot more gold tokens. Actually, what I should do is add numerical gold tokens. Because, yeah, who wants to count out 38 or whatever? So I do have gold here. I've got silver, and I've got copper coins. And I do think that's fun. So if you got to pay for something, you can hand over your gold coins or your copper coins, your silver coins. But I do need some denominations of these. Yeah, I see that now. At least a 5, but maybe even a 10, so that you can more easily get them. So gold coins, and then I guess that would be my character right there. I guess I should probably do the same thing for arrows and bolts. Add denomination. Oh, there's a lot more work to do. Add denominations for arrows and bolts. Because I want you to be able to get started fast. This is your luck token. So if you've got a luck token, you can put a luck token down here with you. I mean, the inventory does look cool when you got it all laid out like that. It would. Yeah. It completely does. I wish we had it. Oh, yeah. Maybe make it look like a pile and put a 10 on them again. Oh, Sable says, Heath, you've thought of so much with this. Seriously impressive. Well, thank you. I've tried to do the best job I could. And it's caused me, like I said, to think about game design things to think about when designing this. Yeah, exactly. Yes. I want it to be playable. I want it to be easily playable online. That's the goal. Let's see. Oh, this right up here. These are your experience points. So how do you track your experience points? Like I said, when you level up, I guess you'll just have to keep track of a physical character sheet. But if you're getting experience points during play, the game master can hand out experience points, and you can keep your experience points in your inventory. 60 of those should be fine. You probably don't need denominations of those because you can only hold up to 10 anyway. Because once you hit 10 experience points, you go to level 2, and your experience points drops back down to 0. So experience points can be distributed to the players right here using these. I did also put a treasure chest over here that can be put on the board, just because in the treasure section it has something, it has treasure by monster, but then it also has like what happens if you discover a treasure chest, you roll by the character's level. So characters like treasure, and you're getting your XP from collecting gold and things like that. So I just thought it would be fun to be able to put a treasure chest on the board to entice heroes if you wanted to do so. Spell cards are down here. That's the tier 2 and tier 3. I put a different wizard on the back of tier 2 and tier 3 cards. And tier 1 cards. I went ahead and put all of the wizard cards here, but I just slid those over here. But here are the tier 1 wizard cards. Let me stack all that up. So tier 1 wizard cards. If you're playing the wizard, I didn't make these. Spell cards. They were available online. That was at least something that I was able to bring in So if you're playing a wizard, it tells you how many tier 1 cards you get. Like, what's this elf? This elf wizard right here. 3 tier 1 wizard spells. 3 tier 1 spells at first level. And also, this person rolled a talent. So this is also kind of just something else. Look at your character sheet about. Get advantage on casting 1 spell you know. So once you select your spells, the elf wizard will have to figure out which one he's got advantage on and make that selection. But otherwise, 3 tier 1 spells. So you can go down here and just go through here and check out which 3 spells you want. I don't know. I like having the wizard character being able to select which spells are going in. Same thing with cleric spells over here or priest spells over here. 6 priest spells. So if you're playing the priest, then you can select which spell you would like to have. I think it's two tier 1 spells at first level. So the priest can select 2 tier 1 spells. So those are over here, and you can put them elsewhere when you're done. Once you've made your selection. Fantastic for this game is that we do have an actual timer. So that's the torch timer over there. Oh, so I don't have torch tokens because the torches are 1 slot. They're 1 slot for a torch. Maybe so when that goes on, you're going to have to burn a whole torch card. So a whole torch is 1 slot. So that's why there's no torch tokens, because that's just 1 torch to a slot. So once somebody starts a torch, we can start the timer up there. And of course, I know some people have expressed skepticism about this. And the idea of having torches be real time and having this timer up here that's at 1 hour. And I understand the potential skepticism. I want to play things as they are before, tinkering with them. And this is an iconic part of this game. But Kelsey was saying on YouTube that it's about making sure that the game goes fast. That players feel pressure. And I like that. We talk about time being so important in RPGs a lot, and how they're underused, I think, in RPGs and in tabletop games. So round counters, all of that stuff, I would definitely want to include in a game. When we had made all those discussions, we hadn't thought about real time. But this is moving the time to the players. So if they're exploring a dungeon or whatever, they've got only a certain amount of time. So you can't goof off. And it's a way of pressuring the players. Because if it is only a round counter, the round counters pressure the characters, but not the players. Because the players can goof off as much as they want in the middle of a round. And it can take as long as however. And then at the end of that round, the round counter decrements, and then whatever happens as a result of that, and then you go around again. But in this case, there's something physical at the table that is applying pressure to, hey, don't goof off. If you're discussing things, if you spend 10 minutes discussing something in the middle of the dungeon, well, then you actually spent 10 minutes discussing something and your torch is burning. So I want to try it. Now, the thing is that each one of these characters starts with 2 torches. So that's a lot of torches. If you've got 5 players, then you've got, as just part of the crawling kits, and they could buy more torches, but just as part of the crawling kits, everybody gets 2 torches. So that's 10 hours worth of light. And if we're talking about a 10-minute, not 10 minute, if we're talking about a 2 to 3 hour session, like in a one-shot or something, you're not going to be running out of torches. But one thing I do wonder about is what would happen if you just completely leaned into this design philosophy. If there are other things that happen that have shorter timers, like certainly spells, like magic missile, that would just be something that would, is a one-off. Light, that when the wizard casts light, the wizard could choose light as well. and give them another light. That seems like a very powerful spell. Seems like a very powerful spell in this game, being that torches are supposed to be so valuable and they take up an inventory slot. But the wizard can cast light and give you another hour if you've got a wizard with you. So that one is the 1 hour timer. But protection from evil. Okay, duration focus. So maybe, I haven't looked through all of the spell cards. In fact, we could do that right now. So protection from evil is duration focus. For the spell's duration, chaotic beings have disadvantage on attack rolls and hostile spell casting checks against the target. These beings can't also possess compel or beguile it. When cast on an already possessed target, the possessing entity makes a charisma check versus the latest spell casting check. On a failure, the entity is dispelled. So focus, spell focus. You can't cast other focus spells while focusing. Other focus spells. So I guess you could cast Magic Missile while you had Protection from Evil on. Make a spell casting check at the start of your turn for the spell for the one that's being focused on. Success, the spell stays in effect until the start of your next turn. Failure, the spell ends. If you were focusing, do not lose the ability to cast that spell. Because you did successfully cast it, you just focus ended. Distraction, immediately make a spell casting check to maintain focus. So are there no, that would be interesting if there are no cards that give a timer, duration instant, other than light, which is the 1 hour up there. No, that one's 10 rounds. Okay, so we use two different methods in this game to track time, because Hold Portal says that it lasts for 10 rounds. You magically hold a portal closed for the duration. A creature must make a successful strength check versus your casting check to open the portal. So that's something I would be interested in asking her about if we got to talk to her on Table Talk, because she does combine those two different ways of adjudicating time. We've got a physical counter for the torch and light, but sometimes we do go over to rounds. So should I add a round counter? I kind of think I should. Mike asks, what am I making or programming this in? I didn't program this. I'm just building it out in playingcards.io. Yeah, this is not something that's custom programmed. It's custom built. It's not custom programmed. James says, I agree with the group. I think game design experience is really showing through on this project. I think your game design experience is really showing through on this project. It looks great, and the visuals you created are perfect for the tone and the mood. Thank you. Sable says, it's constant, subtle pressure on the players. I think it's a great idea personally. Hey, Lynn, good morning. Yeah, I'm a fan of playingcards.io. I don't know, that was not a very highly watched morning grind. That was several months ago when we were looking at different virtual tabletops, because it was playingcards.io is designed for card games, predominantly card games. But when I watched it, when I was using it, and I was like, all right, let's take a look at this one right over here, playingcards.io. And it was, playing cards. And this is about, predominantly we're talking about, board games, hobby board games, and tabletop RPGs. And so that one didn't get watched, except for I saw the potential of the system. I was really interested in it because I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is a lightweight virtual tabletop. It does do a lot of things. There's some limitations that we've been talking about here. There's some limitations because it's not designed for an RPG, but I saw the potential of building out custom lightweight virtual tabletops in playingcards.io. And another reason that I like building them out in playingcards.io is because once you know how playingcards.io works as a player, turning things over, moving things, and things like that, you were able to play multiple games with that system. So there would just be one learning. Once you've learned the system, then all you have to do is learn how different games work. I put counters over here, or just these marbles over here of different colors. And those are just to mark different things on the board or whatever you need them for. I just gave several different ones. I'm going to make some of these, I think, that also have numbers on them and put them down here. That way a Game Master can track number 4 or something. But those are just highly visible and identifiable things to put on the game board and represent whatever the Game Master needs them to represent. I do have, these are your death tokens right here to visually represent how close to death you are once you've lost your HP. So death and dying. The death timer is 1d4 plus con modifier. On turn, roll DC, roll 20 on a 20 rise with 1 hit point. So if I am this ranger right here, so it said 1d4 plus con. So if I drop to 0 hit points, then, my con modifier is plus 0. So I just dropped. What's my death timer going to be? Here's a d4. Oh, no, only 1. And I figure that you could either put your skull on your character, but really I thought you'd put your skulls. So if you're going to drop over here in 3 rounds, if you roll a 3 on your death timer, put 3 skulls over here. That visually represents, it's a reminder every time your turn comes around, lose a skull. But also it's a reminder to everybody that you're dying. I want to be able to flip over the character and monster tokens so that you can see alive and dead. The issue here with that seems like a lot of work to do. I don't think I'm going to try to make individual monster and player hero tokens, because if I were going to do male and female for each one of the 10 generated characters, that would put another 20 tokens here on the board. Not all, many of them which would not even be used during the game. And then also, of course, there are so many different monsters that, unlike Hero Quest, in Hero Quest, there's a defined number of monsters, and each one of them is important and needs to be identifiable. And here, there's a potential infinite number of monsters if the Game Master is creating their own. And plus, if you just go by what's in the book, there's a ton of them anyway. So I think I need somewhat genericized hero tokens and somewhat genericized monster tokens, which is old school and has an old school feel anyway. So if you flip, but they should have like a colored side and then a colored side and then a black and white side. Because like in Dragon Strike, monsters can be searched. So if the monster's dead, then you can flip over the monster so it's gray, and then you can search the monster and then remove the token when the monster is searched. It's a reminder there's a dead monster that hasn't been searched. The hero can also flip themselves over so that everybody goes, oh my God, they're on a death timer. We got to go save them. The cleric's got to go over to them. And then the skulls over here could be sitting on top of their counter. Their counter would be roughly this size, or over here by your character to be removed to track your death timer. So I thought about that. I think that's a neat element. And then also this little torch right here is for the person who's carrying the torch. I guess technically more than one person could have one lit, but this would be the person who got the timer on, so that like your player marker will be about that size. But you could put your torch on that player marker to determine that, or to signify that's the person who's actually burning the torch. Let's see. Wait, what was the... I'm not sure what the pun was. Okay, so the only other thing that's on here are these monster cards. And I just... doing this, like... I would have the problem as well, if you're playing the Game Master, that you'd have just thousands of cards down here. Not thousands, literally, but you have tons of cards down here if I were trying to make up a monster card for each one. And like I said, I'm not trying to replace the book anyway. I'm trying to, I assume the Game Master would have the book open to have different monster stats and would also be running pen and paper or pencil and paper over there while they're playing to keep track of different hit points and things like that anyway. So I'm not trying to stop the player or the game master from doing that. But just for the heck of it, I did put in some monster stats for level 1 monsters and level 2 monsters and level 3 monsters. Oh, that's level 0 monsters, actually. Oh, so let's invert that. So level 0 monsters, because these are low level characters anyway. I just made up some cards. So like and they've got generic backs, but I've got like a rat here, spider here, and kobold here. So if a game master does want to just put these cards down in his or her hand, there's a quick reference for some common low-level foes: acolyte, apparent, bandit, beastman, fairy, goblin guard, orc, peasant, rat, thug. Why didn't beastman, all of beastman show? Another note. And then also for level 2, animate, cultist, deep. That should be deep 1. Oh, I see. Deep 1. I see. Okay, I think my title isn't stretched far enough across. That's probably what's going on. Okay, so you do have those if you want to reference them. Oh, Daniel says tokens by class. Oh, actually, that's a good idea. That's a better idea. Do a token by class. That's probably what I should do. That way it's identifiable what you are. This is the wizard, because there are only so many classes anyway. There are only 6 classes. So that would help. You get a class token. I like that. Thank you, Daniel. Yes. So class, let's do that by class, because I could come up with a visible icon that identifies this as wizard, as thief, as yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So that's basically what I got. I guess I got more work to do. I filled up a sheet of paper here with notes on things to adjust and things to add. When I talk through it like this with people, that really helps. And you guys have given some great suggestions. So I guess in my philosophy of just being obsessed with something and getting it done, I need to go ahead and turn right back around here and sit down and try to finish this, take care of these issues, and get this done. And also, I think we need some general enemy tokens as well. So put together general enemy tokens, because I can't put together. But that's old school with mark something down. You can change, by the way. I guess the final thing to say is you can change the background. Oh, I never really showed the background because at the moment you'd get all these cards off once you start playing. This is just for getting set up and getting your characters going. But then all these cards would be in players' hands and stuff. So, all this crap isn't going to be on the board when you actually start playing. But I made up a custom background here, which you can swap out. You can swap this out to different things. But I wanted to indicate the different ranges. As we go with different zone-based kind of games, I want to be able to come up with an elegant solution for that, because I want to use zones. We've got games. I want to use zones in an RPG. We've got games like Dragon Strike and Hero Quest, which move square by square. So you can do square by square games. Shadowdark does not have a grid. It doesn't actually even specifically talk about zones. So I'm expecting that this would be a lot of theater of the mind. So I put this out here on the front. But if you need to drop out people, to indicate where they are in general distances, you can, because anywhere in here would be near. Aren't the ranges near, close, distant? Distance and movement. Close. No, close, near, far. Close, near, far. Different games use different terms here, but this is close, near, far. So anything that is in this main circle, if I can see, like this is the heroes being surrounded in Moria or something. So anything in here in this main circle would be close. So it doesn't really matter where you are. because you're not going, this is old school again, but you can put your kind of arrange your characters the way they are for the narrative purposes and things as they're being surrounded. So everything in here would be, what was it? Close. And then near would be out here. So you also have directional near. And then anything that's out here on this outer rim would be far. So you can adjust that and track that as you go. But you can swap out what this background is. I made a few different backgrounds. I'll show that to you. If the game master is changing scenes or something, then you can change. You could change out the background, or you could just put some kind of static picture, like of a town or something. I was thinking about that too. I wish we had music. But like, here's if you're outside, you could be outside in the dark. Oh, where are my exports? Well, I had a forest. I may check. I'm put on my list. Check my exports. Find them. Something might have accidentally been changed up, or maybe I went to sleep and didn't finish exporting them or something. But there's like an outside, or that's the cavern or something. So you can change up the background a little bit depending on what you want to be showing your characters. Yes, I know. You guys are wonderful. Jason says there are pros, cons to all the movement and distance methods. This one's a little easier, but you lose anything tactical. Yeah, and I was thinking about when we get back to, it'll be a little while, but when we get back to faded edge design, just have it so you can do both. Like the main game needs to have different modules in it. And I was thinking about specifically the word tactical, and just do the game, like the basic version of the game, like would use zones. You're in different zones and things can be close, near, far, or something like that, which I think works very well. I mean, it's not like I haven't played tons of games like that. But then also just do a separate module that is faded edge tactical. And then if you want to go square by square and you want to get into that, then here's the module for the game that does that. And who knows, you could even use, and it should be, ideally, if you're going for the Holy Grail, you should be able to use both within the same game. You don't even have to choose during the same game what the way to play. So you might play out most of them with zones and near and far, but for one particular battle, you might choose to go square by square, or building out particular games that go square by square. I think it's the thing to go. Daniel says, I'm curious to see how you would manage a horde of rats, 30 cards or a single card with 30 wounds per se. Rat. Well, no, that's a good thing. Or good question. I hadn't even thought about that. Hordes of monsters. See, what does it say for rat? Didn't I have rat in here? Okay, so I have not looked up horde. Now, that's a good question about how you would do that in general. But like, Shadowdark just has rat. So I guess that's just one of them. So that's one rat. I'm not sure if any of its monsters are hordes. A level 0 thing is one rat. And kobolds are one. So I'm not sure. Hexes are superior to squares in many ways, but man, squares are easy. Hexes, the squares make things easy. Daniel says, oh yeah, this wasn't necessarily my idea. This is kind of like what I thought would be good for this was basically making a dungeon pizza. So I made a dungeon pizza here on Shadowdark. So I think that could be used for a lot of games like that. Daniel says, this is a great solution to a narrative-driven RPG for dealing with where aspect relation to players. I'm going to have to adopt this. Yeah, I like it too. I want to adopt it too. If I could get back into the workshop, I would make a physical dungeon pizza. on this kind of model right here, because I think that would be fun. But here's our digital dungeon pizza. Squares make things easy until you have to start counting out diagonal movement. Yeah. Or in like Hero Quest, you just don't allow a diagonal movement. So some games handle that by just saying you can't move diagonally. Daniel says it could cause issues, though, when you say your barbarian charges into melee and your ranger holds range. Maybe a more sectioned off circle with quadrant per player. Well, could be. But this would let that, the barbarian could move out here, I think, while the ranger stays back, so that you got characters who could charge. Or, there's nothing wrong with saying that, your players are starting over here, I guess. I guess you could start that. You could do that too. Like if your players are sneaking up on some goblins, put the goblins in the center here, and then put the characters starting out here at far range. And so the ranger could be out here if they're attacking them. So I guess it doesn't always have to be the characters in the center. What they're attacking could be. Sable says the thing about zones is each character actually has their own zones. I wonder if you could set a dungeon pizza. Well, like when I was talking about zones, that's like Fate. So one zone would be, could be if you're doing a tavern brawl, one zone might be the main room, and then another zone would be the kitchen, maybe, and there's a door between them. And you're either in the main room interacting with things in the main room, or you're in the kitchen. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about zones. Sable Phoenix says, I wonder if you could set a dungeon pizza overlay centered on the character's token that's currently selected. I don't know if I can do that in this. But I see where you're going with that. If you're custom programming things like clicking on, I mean, you could get sophisticated. You get sophisticated, but then again, you also, the more sophisticated you get, to the more specific the game, the more it locks you into that game, which is one of the problems with the other VTTs that we looked at. Even though I love all of the custom functionality, one of the issues was that, okay, here is the VTT that only does this game very well. And it does this game very well, but it's also tedious to set up. I'm trying to not make this tedious. I want to be able to use this for multiple different games, and I don't want it to be tedious. Because some of the VTTs just seem tedious to me. Click in this, right click on this, enter this number here. A lot of mouse click. You don't require a lot of precision here to use this. Move card around, move it. So it doesn't seem like it's getting in your way. So I don't know. Yeah, you can fudge it by counting diagonal spells, or actually, I've seen every second diagonal counted as 2. If you count every second diagonal as 2, that works. We've used that quite a bit too. That's not completely always intuitive, but you get 1 diagonal move for 1. But then your second diagonal move on your turn's got to count for 2 spaces. That works. Daniel says a circle per player works, but it's a lot to manage on the DM side. Yeah, that's not who was the original creator of the Dungeon Pizza. We need to credit that. The only terrain you will ever need a Dungeon Pizza. And you can put it, of course, there are actually pictures of pizzas on here. And you can put it on a Lazy Susan. In the middle of a table. That was what I was thinking about doing. Oh, wait. So I can just go over here. So obviously there's pictures of pizza here, but here's an idea. Dungeon Pizza right here. I want, some of them have the ranges on them, which is what I would want to do. Like here's a Dungeon Pizza that just fades off onto the edge. But then if you put it on a Lazy Susan in the middle of the table, then it will rotate around so players can look at it in the middle of the table. I think it would be a fun way to do games. I'm also trying to continue with our philosophy of what's the most we can do with the least, because we can always think of more to do. And that's one of the pitfalls, I think, of the RPG tabletop, the TT or virtual tabletops that go all in on one game, because you can always think of more to do. You can always sit there and think of more to do. Oh man, in an ideal world, I'd have this and I'd have this and I'd have this. But constraints facilitate creativity. So I'm working within the constraints of this software right here. And I'm trying to do the most I possibly can do with the least. Because the goal is to sit down and have to have a lot of fun. The goal is to have fun, to be able to play, in this case, Shadowdark, online as easily as possible, and to derive the maximum amount of fun out of the least. And then also by reusing the tabletop software for different games, you get the most bang for your buck out of not having to relearn the dedicated software. You're just talking about the different games that you're playing inside. So that's an argument too for not getting, because I could spend another 2 weeks on this, or I'm sure I could spend another month or something. But really, I need to finish this up. I really need to finish this today, and then move on, and have it up, and then we can tinker with it. We can tinker with it as it's actually played, but that's doing the most with the least. John says, music is a tough one. I've tried different ways to share the same background music over Zoom or Discord for D&D, and I've never come up with a workable solution. Yeah, what I would like in this is just a way to have like a button that is connected to a sound file. Of course, this software right here actually doesn't have doesn't have video conference capability. That's why I integrate this with the coffee shop software, because the coffee shop software takes care of all that. You sit down at a table and then you bring this up. So it might have to be in the coffee. I wonder if there's some way to play a noise in the coffee shop. But anyway, I'll have to come up with some other solution for that. I guess you could play it physically over the Game Master's microphone. We'll have to see. But because I did appreciate that about Alchemy. I did like that about Alchemy, that you were trying to, it was big on composing the music, because you could drop a very nicely composed picture on here, because this doesn't have to be top down. When you're in town, hey, it could be just a picture of the town and invoke that. Lynn says you can also use a staggered grid. Yes. You can stagger the grid too, but then you lose some of the advantages of the ease of squares. I want to make up some tiles. Eventually, we're going to need dungeon tiles, because even if you're counting spaces, then you'll probably need dungeon tiles. But even if you're not counting spaces and you're using zones, like I'm in the room or I'm in the hallway, I would like to be able to construct some kind of dungeon on the fly here. Because you can construct a dungeon like that by making the image and then making this board the image. You can totally do that. But if you want to be able to construct it kind of on the fly, I think it needs to be done with basically a card deck. Oh, Charlie says, my friend DM created a Lazy Susan type circular battle thing. Professor Dungeon Master on YouTube has a video about how to make one on the cheap. Well, okay, so Professor Dungeon Master does that. I've watched several. If you just Google that or look it up on YouTube, you'll find several examples. I'm sure I watched his. Professor Dungeon Master pizza. Oh, zoned dungeon terrain. Yeah, there we go. So zoned dungeon terrain. That's it. That's that one. So some of the early pizzas I don't think had the zones on it, but I love having the zones on it. Now see his right there. If you're looking at that.
Dungeon craft.
So yeah, I think he improved on the idea of the dungeon pizza by having the zones. We've got the center zone, we've got the mid-range zone, and then we've got the far zone out there at the edge. So that may be where I got that idea from, because the earliest dungeon pizzas were just the center out to the edge. But I like having the zones. But then I think my improvement or iteration on this was to include the quadrants. You've kind of got that here. You've got that implicit here. But if I ran the lines so that you would actually know. There we go. So I ran the lines. My improvement was to run the lines. And I staggered the lines of the outside rim. That way you're not funneling things that might be coming from the outside to the inside along a specific track. If you're out here, you could go this way or this way. Or if you're going out, you can, spread out as well. So that's my improvement. That's my iteration on the dungeon pizza, is that not only should you have zones, but you should mark the zones by quadrants and stagger the outside rim. That's my improvement. Sable says, I'm pretty sure Professor Dungeon Master didn't come up with the term. I don't think he did either, but he's got one of the best videos on it. Maybe if I would make one up with quadrants if I ever had time to do anything physical and actually be out in the workshop again. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought too. Sable says, I think the quadrants are the biggest things that's typically missing from the way that zone combat is described. If it's just a bullseye, it doesn't really work. Yeah, I wanted some kind of directionality to it. So there we go. Adding quadrants to that. All right. Let's see. We've been going for an hour and a half. So I appreciate everybody being here because that's been a huge help to talking out ideas here. So I guess I will go maybe fix some breakfast and then try to fix up these problems that we talked about. Then maybe we'll have that. Then I don't know what I'm going to do. Please do hit the like. Please do hit the like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. We're here basically every morning doing the morning grind, talking about stuff. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Go forth, be creative, be constructive,